Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Cookings, and we're looking at a spaceship today.
What? Wow, that's stepping outside the box. I didn't plan for this. Oh man. Anyway, yes, we are. We're looking at unused concept. Well, is it unused? I don't even know. Tell us about the ship, Samuel. You're the one that brought it to the table today. So
That is a great question. So there's a great game called Star Trek Online, which you guys know, and it's fair to say it's had a few iterations, revelations, changes, and it's definitely not the same game it was at the start. I mean, even so much as the original released version of some of the ships were quite radically far to the left side, right side, whatever, and now they really focus on bringing a very, very detailed looking cannon ships, and that's their thing. But before it was released by the company that released it, the IP was owned by a different company, and they were designing stuff, and they actually brought in John Eaves right at the start to design a whole lot of stuff for it. And this is one of those unused concepts that was part of the first company before it was sold off by the second company, to it then was then bought out by a third company who now is the ones that run it now. So this is like vintage late 2000s John Eaves stuff of what he thought a post TNG, post Nemesis would look like, which is interesting because he's on Picard in however much they want him on, so he does tend to pull from his own work, and this is unused. I just thought it was a really interesting one from the era. So Stuart, what do you think of this Johnny design post Nemesis Star Trek Online-ish timeline ship? Have you ever seen it before, and what do you think?
I don't know if I've seen this exact one before. I've seen versions that are similar, and it's interesting to step outside the usual design aesthetic for Star Trek. This does so, but it also holds very true to that as well, which is a nice idea. I really like this. The nacelle design is fantastic. I love that those more advanced, slimmer nacelles, very tech looking. This is absolutely a great little ship, and it is little. It's not very big, as you can tell. There's not many escape pods. This is a very small little ship, so that's very cool. I like that.
As Rick Sternberg tends to say, it's like 12 person per escape pod is the rule, if you can kind of guess. So yeah, it basically no one. And it does say date down below, 10th of 06. So a little while ago. Although it's interesting how shapes do and don't evolve, and like I said, what gets used and reused. I mean, those nacelles look very much like the Star Trek J.J. Price era phasers.
Oh yeah, I knew they looked a little familiar. You're right. Yeah.
So shapes somehow get to be used and reused.
Well, the really cool thing about this design is it almost feels, with a few tweaks and modifications, it could be definitely put in the NX era, especially with that front deflector. You just replace that with the actual deflector that you have on the front of the NX, and it would fit in right in with the Intrepid design, as well as the Delta that we see, the Delta ship.
Although then you ask why. I mean, yes, obviously, but I mean, in the sense of everything has to have a role in the fleet. This is such a small thing. Why design something this similar in that era? Whereas I would assume in sort of post TNG, they because I mean, to build ships is easy. At that time, you can just build like 5 in a design row, just to look at Type L planets. You know what I mean? So this spread out design aesthetic, I think, makes more sense post TNG, whereas NX is kind of like where this fit into the fleet. But yeah, I mean, converted very easily. I mean, it could almost be any era with the tweaks in nacelle and deflector.
Yeah. Well, I definitely see Enterprise era for sure. And since it is a small ship, I mean, it makes sense to be one of the forerunners to the Warp 5 engine, testing faster nacelles. Plus, the thing with nacelles is that they're supposed to be a little bit further away from the ship, because they generate harmful fields or whatever, especially in the early days. So I kind of like the idea of the engines for a faster ship being pushed back away from everybody. That's actually a neat idea. However, in the realm of Star Trek Online, this is either a very fast transport or some kind of small science survey vessel, much like we see the Oberth in Star Trek 3, not a very big ship. So the purposes are, it could be anything really. It would also be great for a tug. Have some tractor beam emitters on the bottom side there, and just be able to tug other ships or cargo. So
it's definitely giving me some Franklin vibes.
Oh yeah, a little, yeah.
But there are orthographics, although limited resolution, although I'm actually the best version possible. And the 3 cores, I think, is where it does its most justice. The top and the bottom, is it called the Northampton class? The FASA with the very outstretched, oddly built engine nacelle configuration. Those top and bottom feel very similar to that. So
Actually, I was gonna say when you pointed at the top and bottom, it looks very similar to the Andor class.
That's what I was going for. That one.
One of my favorites. Yeah. But yeah, it could be the Northampton class as well, just with the engines like put down, because the Northampton has like the lower slung nacelles, but they're very oddly placed like this. But just from the top and bottom, it does have an Andor feel to it. So that's actually very interesting.
And the side view has a very flat feel like the Steamrunner. Which doesn't necessarily work. I kind of wish it had a secondary hull element. I think it might have given it a bit more flair.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because when I was looking at this initially, the front and back views look very similar to the Orion ship we see in the animated series. That's from the episode The Slaver Weapon. It's got the exact same kind of slant on the engines and stuff. So it ties in with a lot of different things. It can definitely be multi-purpose, or designed by, like, because the Andor class in FAST is, of course, an Andorian design. That's why it's the Andor class. So this could definitely be something like that, and it does have that Andorian kind of feel to it with the antenna.
Yeah, I think this and there's a second picture we'll get into in a second. It's just a nice, simple design that has a few little design flourishes. Just having the fact that there are those slightly recessed side elements, who knows why, but they give a little bit of depth to it. And obviously the nacelles are a standout of interesting design, and yet call back to the, like you say, the half saucer with the... I mean, he was just off Enterprise. I mean, like, that was fresh in his mind, so this is very much a half saucer reference as well. And designs should parallel themselves as you go on, because... I mean, look at cars nowadays. They have, that looks like this from 30 years ago. I mean, people would like that retro feel, and so why not design something that's retro because it's still functional? And yes, you can build 3. Why would you need to build 150 or even 100 or even 50? Just build 3.
Yeah. Well, with it being such a smaller design, I can see it being more plentiful of a ship because it's easier to build, smaller, and the little winglets on the side there would make it ideal for atmospheric flight. Those could help with the aerodynamics in an atmosphere as well. And it is so small, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to just enter an atmosphere, land, be a survey vessel of some kind.
And what I just saw, because I was wondering the entire time, you don't need line of sight, but it's good to have line of sight, and also most nacelles have 2-sided nacelle coils. You got the outer ones which are pointed up, but if you look at the left-hand side of the back of the warp nacelle, there is 2 blue elements, which maybe they're creating the line of sight?
Yeah, it would appear that way, yeah, because there's no real inner blue element except for at the back there, except those 2 lower ones. Yeah, that would be actually great. Power or warp transfer or whatever, just transferring between each other.
Because not that you need moving components, but I kind of see them like moving down a little bit. Maybe like it changes orientation for the amount of warp speed. If you want full warp, it goes flat, and then it goes up for flying or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Or even faster warp, it actually, from where they are there, they angle in like this, much more like the Andor class, closer to the middle. That'd be kind of neat as well.
But speaking of neat, just for you, Stuart, the next picture, a TOS version was made by John as a separate fun thing. What do you think of that? Because you're talking about how things need to be swapped out. I mean, what do you think?
Well, that feels much more like Enterprise era, like... post NX era, but just pre TOS era. A nice design iteration there, especially with the way the nacelles are designed. They're kind of that tie-in. Plus, they feel this could actually fit in the Discovery universe now with the Discovery Enterprise. Again, because it's John Eaves, he carried a lot of that stuff over, especially that parts on the Bizarre collector there. So that's actually really great. I like that a lot.
I mean, he clearly just re-photoshopped his own work. Sort of thing is not that radically different.
Yeah.
But at least you remember to take off the escape pods and such. And it's funny that yes, I think you're right. This wouldn't be TOS era because there's too many hard lines. There's too many... It doesn't feel that right. And also the plate detail, etc. But yeah, it's definitely like a... Well, I mean, we didn't talk about it. It says, the USS Phoenix. So it'd be kind of fun if this was the Warp 7 test ship and they stuck on the Connie Mark 1 nacelles, and there you go. It's still an NX ship, clearly, with the new nacelles, and it's just a nacelle testing platform, and that's kind of quirky fun, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that also speaks to the size as well. I mean, get faster speeds from something that's a little bit smaller, easier to create a smaller warp bubble.
Although I guess these would be micro Connie nacelles, because that scale is not right.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, same design style, just much smaller for sure. No, that's neat. I like that. I could definitely see it being part of the warp iterations, design process, getting that faster warp speed. So yeah, that's very cool.
So there you go. Just wanted to show you a kind of fun alternate John Eaves, because we always like looking at John Eaves' designs. He's obviously a continuous plethora of ability. And as we see more and more of his designs, we can see he does kind of repeat himself a little bit, and he obviously has his own shorthands. It's fun to kind of see when, where, and how and who they come from. And look forward to seeing what he does in Picard.
Yeah, maybe this is the design of the ship that Picard uses. We don't even know yet. Because it is a smaller ship, because we can tell from the trailer. Anyway, well, we talked about that in a live, so go check that out as well. But guys, in the meantime, put your comments down below. What do you think of this design? Would you like to have seen it in Star Trek Online or anywhere? Because it is very cool. Let us know your thoughts and ideas down below. And as always, click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And you don't want to miss out on anything cool. So there's also a lot of great ways to help us.
Go, he says with his eyes. Yes, monthly way is Patreon. It's a great way of YouTubers like us being supported as a guaranteed backbone every single month. This channel is very fluctuatable, depending on if there's breaking news, if there's not, if we do the content, if we don't. But Patreon is always there, and that is what keeps us going and allows us to do this content and do the content is going to be coming along with Picard, with Lower Decks, with all that stuff as well. Or one-time donation at Trekyards.com, or join our lives where we take super chats to have your questions, comments, thoughts answered. That's really, really fun. It's direct talking to you guys. Or you can buy stuff in the links down below in the comments. In the description, there's links, lots of words, to Everpress and other cool things you can buy. And Eagle Moss, but that's your thing, Stuart, because you got the code. So what's the Eagle Moss thing?
Well, if you click the link down below to go to Eagle Moss, you can pick yourself up some Eagle Moss ships, and it's a great deal for you guys, because if you use the code Trekyards at checkout, you save yourself 15% off orders of $50 or more. And I know when you're Eagle Moss shopping, $50 is pretty quickly added to the cart. So by all means, it helps us out, it helps you out, and it's a great idea. So yeah, check all the links down below. Lots of great stuff down there. So until next time, guys, we're Team Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cockness.
See you later.
Bye, guys.